So let's bring in our panel, Dana Perino, Shannon Bream, Harold Ford Jr., and Charlie Hurt. Great to have all of you with us as we look at these results and very significant wins for Democrats tonight, Dana.
So my partner in crime over there, Bill Hemmer, mentioned the polling, and I think that's going to be one of the threads that people are going to want to pull after this, because the polling did suggest much tighter races. That is not what happened. But you know what was undefeated, and I'm sure Britt Hume will talk about this, and that is the betting markets. And so I think that the whole polling industry has to take a look and say, with these phones, with the new ways to do it, what do we don't have a handle on? I do think that to the extent that there was any story at all is a little bit of a surprise. These are blue states. There shouldn't have been much suspense, but I think that because the Democrats are in such disarray, aside from the Democratic Socialists, who appear to be going very strong, the Democrats are going to have a very difficult time. And I know my friend Harold is going to try to say that Zohran Mamdani is not a Democrat.
Well, he's going to start by saying, thanks for having me.
He's going to be so glad to be on the table, but he already said that to me earlier today. But I think it's going to be very difficult from a messaging standpoint. All of the energy is behind Zohran Mamdani. And I remember something that George Will said. Every 20 years or so, people need a controlled experiment in socialism to remind them of why they need adults in charge. And unfortunately, for the city that is not of my birth, but it's certainly the one that I adopted and that I love this place. I do hope for the best. I wish him the best and hope that he can love it as much as we do.
But Harold, you know, a lot of people in New York thought Bill de Blasio was that and that it didn't work and that this was not going to happen again. And here they are. And you wonder what this means for this city and what it means for your party.
Well, it is good to be back around the table. It's a blessing to be able to do this coverage. I'd say a couple of things. The last two mayors we've had in this city, Bill de Blasio and Eric Adams, many people thought that they were national figures, and they embraced that national figuredom that was put on them. Bill de Blasio ran for president. His campaign was roundly rebuffed. Eric Adams was on a trajectory. Then he ran into some hurdles and opposition, some of it self-inflicted. But as he leaves office tonight, crime is coming down, and New York remains a place where people want to invest. We come to Mr. Mamdani. I'm surprised by some of the numbers also. I'm a Democrat. I'm not a Democrat socialist. Tonight will be interesting to hear his speech. Is it unifying? Does he reach out to Jessica Tisch? Does he try to allay some of the concerns?
The police commission.
Yes, Jessica Tisch, who's our police commissioner, who has shepherded this crime reduction, violent crime reduction in our city, and made, I live in this city and vote in this city. My kids go to school in this city, and make it easier for kids to take the subway, and for that matter, all New Yorkers to take the subway. Two, this was a good night for Dems. If Dems had lost one of these states, we'd be saying this is a terrible night. Dems won by 14 points in both Virginia and Virginia and New Jersey, and we won the Supreme Court races in Pennsylvania, and we retained the Public Service Commission seats in Georgia. Now, some will say we held serve. You got to hold serve to win. This is tomorrow, as we get ready for the political day, Mr. Trump and Republicans will have some questions to answer. The shutdown will still be on people's minds. I'll be curious to know, if we look some of the polling, did the shutdown play in New Jersey, in Virginia in these last week or two, as we talked about SNAP benefits and so forth? I don't know the answer to that. And two, there's a big conversation that's going to take place at the Supreme Court tomorrow about the legality of the tariffs. So the world goes on tomorrow. But as we sit here tonight, Democrats had a good night. And where I agree with Dana, we've got to decide if Mr. Mamdani is going to be the face of our party. I mentioned de Blasio and Adams because everyone thought they could be the leaders. But I argue the San Francisco mayor, Daniel Lurie, a Democrat who beat a Democrat in the primary, who wanted to face down crime and make San Francisco more attractive. The mayor of Philadelphia, who beat a Democrat, a black woman, who's addressing crime in a very different way. So there are mayors around the country who had to deal with realities. I wish Mr. Mamdani the best, and I hope that the questions that people have about anti-Semitism and his lack of commitment to our police, I hope he's able to allay some of those concerns starting this evening.
President Trump is weighing in. He just posted on Truth Social, quote, "Trump wasn't on the ballot and shutdown were the two reasons that Republicans lost elections tonight." Charlie Hurt.
That's a very Trumpian message. And it's true. I would say that it certainly was not a bad night for Democrats. But I would temper it a little bit. You know, if we sat back 6 months ago and sort of predicted the outcome of all of these races, we probably would have done a better job of getting it all right than you would by reading the polls in the last couple of weeks. Dana raises a great point, though, about the betting markets. It's like, who is it that's getting in late? I mean, they nail these things. Yeah. And even if the betting markets are wrong the day before the election, by the time, polls close, they are like within a tenth of a point. It does kind of, I'm suspicious enough that makes me wonder whether or not it's not campaign people doing it. But look, if you go back 40 years, not only are Virginia and New Jersey both solidly blue states now. If you go back, their reputation for voters rejecting whatever party won the White House in the previous year is almost without fail. There have been 2 examples, one in each state over the past 40 years, where they haven't done that. So this is not to be unexpected. I don't think that it's not a bad night for Democrats, but I don't know that you can really spike the ball here. Certainly Democrats won the expectations game because of the last couple of weeks, but they still have monumental problems. Not only do you have a communist in New York City, and we'll see how he decides to govern, but you also have the Jay Jones in Virginia that Republicans are going to be able to run against both of these people all across the country.
Shannon, one of the things that President Trump has gotten a lot of traction on is the issue of crime, removing illegal migrants who are here who have committed crimes. And Mamdani, has said some very dark things about the New York City police. We all remember Bill de Blasio having the police en masse turn their backs to him at a New York City police officer funeral. So that's one of the things that I think we're going to really be watching is this relationship with the police, because 9% are going to leave the city. It's going to be a huge percentage of police officers we know as well.
Yeah, and think about what he said about not working with the NYPD, working with ICE, not working together. And he said essentially wants to double down on the sanctuary city laws that you have here in New York City. And so for a lot of people who live and work and spend their money here or decide to take it and go somewhere else, that's been a huge issue for him. And also all of these promises that you can always make the promises during the campaigns. We know that's what all candidates do. There are some folks, like very controversial folks like Linda Sarsour, who say, I'm going to be staying here and watching. You can't just go in there and do whatever the hell you want. We're going to be enforcing from the outside to make sure that you line up with the progressive things that you promised and that we put you there to do. So it'll be interesting to see how he governs.
Some of those interviews, he was walking back a couple of the things already as of this morning.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.